I got one more cut as we introduce the Lieutenant Governor of our state, Delbert Hosemann. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Paul. I'm doing good. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Let me play this one more cut here on who is Kamala. And sometimes I don't think a lot of people understand this, but we may be asking to put the Kim Cheadle in as the person in the Oval Office, but here is another one. And there's a lot on her paper trail and audio trail.
The bill also says, quote, every individual who is a resident of the United States is entitled to benefits for health care services under this act. Not every individual who's a citizen, but every individual who's a resident. So you support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
Not every individual who's a citizen, but every individual who's a resident. Every individual who's a resident.
That's a little bit scary there when you talk about it. She's just basically said, as far as public education, if you're illegal, come on in. And if you want to get on the Medicaid, come on in. I guess Social Security also.
Just about everything, Paul, that they didn't work for.
So it's not changing the direction of this country. It's speeding up what Joe Biden has done.
Absolutely. I don't think Mississippians really have concentrated on the fact that we have 4 congressmen, and you get that number by dividing the number of people in the Congress by the number of people in this country. So if you let in 10 million already, or as the president sometimes says, 15 million, and we were to lose this election, and we let in another 15 million, that's 30 million. And you start dividing the numbers of residents of Mississippi by the number of people in the country, and you may not get to 4. You may get to 3.
Well, you're probably right, because those sanctuary states would probably have the gains across the nation.
Right. Under the Constitution, you know they have to count everybody here. That goes all the way back to the British. So you have to count everybody that's here. So all these people are going to get counted when you decide how many people are in there for a Congress seat. So in addition to the economics, which are just choking Texas and as vibrant as it is, California and everywhere else, New York City's borrowing all this money to house people when we've got veterans on the streets. It's just crazy, Paul. It's just crazy.
Well, and we see some boiling of this too, Governor, from places like Chicago and New York, where some of the people in the inner city are aggravated because they're coming in, taking all of their assets and their resources.
Right.
So this may not play well with her at all.
I don't think that it does. Most every election turns out about you individually. Are you going to be better off from inflation? Are you going to pay less taxes? Are your kids going to get better educated? Or you're going to have better roads? I mean, it goes down the whole laundry list, and on all of those, they fail.
Can we talk about something more positive as far as the state of Mississippi is concerned?
I can, because we're having a really good year.
I'm telling you, and sometimes this is not going to be heard on liberal media in our state, especially the ones that are nonprofit but bankrolled by millionaires and asking for the people at their kitchen table to keep them in business. It just they like to settle on the negative. But and I put this out on Twitter this morning, or on X. We're in the top 10 best states to retire 2024, just announced.
Absolutely.
Florida has been the place for retirees to move to spend their golden years, but new research finds it's not the best state to retire in today. There's a new bank rate report reveals the best and worst states for retirement in 2024, and one of the top states on the list is in the East Coast, and it's one of the smallest, but the worst state to retire is Alaska, followed by New York, state of Washington, God forbid, California, and North Dakota. Here are the top 10. Number 10 is Wyoming. Number 9 is Iowa. Number 8 is Florida. Number 7 is Pennsylvania. We, in the top 10, are number 6 in the nation. Out of the 50 states, we are number 6. That is absolutely amazing. Above us is Missouri, South Carolina, Georgia, West Virginia, and nobody wants to be near Joe Biden in Delaware. Delaware was number one, but it's one of those success stories that needs to be told. I can.
I don't know what's happening here. Hold on a second.
You want to try a different microphone or something up there, sir? Because it's either that or somebody in the start a conspiracy theory here.
Well, I can't quite hear you. Can you hear me now?
Cut your mic off for a second here. Just turn it off. Just cut it off. Apparently, it is that microphone. So, is there another button on the other side that you want to hit? Try that one.
I'll walk in there and check on this.
All right, let's just double check. It sounds like
Is that better?
Are both of them on, or just one of them on?
Both of them cut on.
No,
I mean, you're usually here running this. I'm not.
Yeah, I know. It's the gremlins are in there. If you'll turn it off and let him see if he can.
Right.
I hate to do this on the air, folks, but it's also not only it's just radio, it's television too. So you can watch us go through this at the same time. Two.
All right, there we go.
No, that's no better. It's absolutely, positively no better. Do this. Would you do me a favor?
Move around to the other side?
Yeah, just move around to the other side, and let's see if we can do that and see if one. And turn that mic off before you leave. There you go. This is 101, folks, and it's called Show Prep. Let's see here. I have another cut, by the way, while he's doing this. And let's see if I can share this one with you here. It's alluding to what I just said a few moments ago, of what the people who are voters out there in places like Chicago or New York, what they're thinking about this. Even though you might see a few bumps here and there as far as the polls are concerned, I don't think it's going to last that long.
No way in hell I would ever vote for Kamala Harris. That's just a no-go right there. Primary reason is she has been reckless and irresponsible. She was in charge of the border, and she left us open to danger and a whole host of other issues and solid, logical reasons why I cannot, in good conscience, allow her to California, my America. Wow. I won't do that. I'm going to be retired one of these days, and I need a safe place in America to go. And if she wins the White House, I believe America's going to turn into a rolling dumpster fire in the dry forest, without question. That's why.
There you go. I mean, I think he said it plainly. All right, now let's try it one more time.
Yeah, can you hear me better now, Paul?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I think that works fine.
Yeah, I was going to tell you about that retirement. That didn't just happen. We don't tax retirement income in Mississippi. And we haven't done that for a number of years. It's in addition to our other tax breaks that we've gone lowered down to, going down to 4%, and we eliminated franchise tax and a whole bunch of other taxes. But in any event, we're in a process where you don't pay any incomes on your retirement. So that helps us a lot. Then the cost of living is phenomenal. Number 3, there's no salt on the roads to eat your car up. Number 4, and this happened the other day, Paul, and a little bit of an inside, but we have been working to have a new interpretive center at Vicksburg National Military Park. In that center, I went to Gettysburg, and I looked at their center, and I looked at other ones around the country, and the one that's over there is just dilapidated, falling in, and the government won't give them any money to do anything. So the state's looking at building one of these that will be really another part of the Blues Trail of all the other things we have here in Mississippi. And when we got to meeting with the architects about this, coming back to your point, we talked about how it should look. And what it came out was it should have like a front porch, because Mississippi's just a big front porch. We welcome people. We sit on the front porch. We walk the streets. We speak to our neighbors. We're a welcoming community. And that's why you're getting these kind of reports about us, not only just the tax benefits and whatnot, lower cost of living, but we're a welcoming community, Paul. And people come here, and it's not like they get ostracized. They have to live here 2 or 3 generations. So when we do this new center, we'll have a welcoming front porch for Mississippi, because that's who we are.
I think it's a great idea. First of all, you think of an antebellum home a little bit on something like that.
Well, you can, but look, you can think about Muddy Waters. You can think about B.B. King.
That's true.
You can talk about Dockery.
Shotgun Home.
All that. Elvis Presley's house. It didn't look like a mansion. I mean, you go up there.
Well, when we grew up, we had a front porch. You spent a lot of time every evening in the front porch let it cool off before you went to bed.
I didn't see who was walking around. If you want to visit your neighbor, you walk down the street and say, come on, we got tea right here.
Plus the fact, thanks to the leaders of our state and I think we've got a great team in place now with Bill Cork, and boy, did they make another announcement yesterday. And I don't know if you've seen this. I know you have, but some of the people haven't seen this. It's called a transformational project. I love that. We're getting spoiled. I expected Bill to be on every week with a major announcement here. We'll tell you about this.
We're running out of workforce, Paul. That's our biggest problem.
We'll talk about that also when we come back.
All right.
Did you just hear that?
I know. As the Chinese had that one.
Did you just say?
Yeah, we're to reduce the population.
If we would reduce populations, increase EVs, kids would be able to breathe more.
Well, there'd be less children too.
well, that's a little caveat. Come on.
Whatever. It seems like both of them got the same problem. They say stuff and you want to go, as the president said. I don't know what you just said, and I don't think you do either.
Wow.
So whatever.
All right. What do you know about this transformational project? An international manufacturer investing $176 million, creating, well, by a couple of years, 180 jobs. But at the end of the day, in a couple of more years, it could be more than that.
Yeah, that's our second, third, fourth. I've lost count. Hardly fourth or fifth one coming like that. Mm-hmm. Paul, what we're looking. Just go back just a second with me. First, we needed to redo our economic incentive package. Now we did that, and you look at that press release. He'll talk about the company used MFLEX. And what that was we went back and looked at all of our economic development packages where we weren't competitive or more competitive or whatever, and we put it where it's very simple to do. You can figure out your tax incentives are coming to Mississippi in about 10 minutes on the internet in California. So that's allowed us to get into the basics of saying how competitive we are economically for these companies to come here. Then the governor and MDA have some side monies that they can give for labor force training, like we did for Amazon, $16 million to train labor force. Well, that stays with our people, so our people are then trained no matter where they go. So that's not really a benefit that goes out the window or anything. And you're seeing that we're able to compete with these by the third fact, which is we have gotten these locations, these industrial sites, up to speed over the last few years by adding a lot of water, sewer, electric, land clearing, all kinds of other things that have been done so that, like in Madison, that site was what they call in the business site ready. And so by having all of those, here we are with all our benefits laid out. Here we are with a lower cost of living. Here we are with a welcoming community. When I talked to the guy that made the decision for Amazon, one of them, the major decision, the guy that's in charge of government relations, that night when we were celebrating their announcement, he said, I had 5 governors call me today. 5 asked me, how in the world did you go to Mississippi? And he said, because everything we asked, they got for us. The governor worked hard. MDA worked hard. We had a one-day legislative session. All the tax benefits were good. And they basically didn't ask for much, about $20 million for, I don't know how much they're going to spend, $20 or $30 billion out there. So it wasn't really a big economics, but we're set for these now, Paul. Yep. We have done our work.
Right, what's the next
for the marathon.
What do we do now? What do we do now
our next,
set on our
well, I'm glad you asked. I think our last goal is our trained workforce. Now, we're operating on about 53% labor force participation rate. That's the lowest in the country. Mm-hmm. Now, here we have about, for the people who want to get a job, every single person who wants to get a job in Mississippi can work. Just period. We have an unemployment rate of like 2%, which is like somebody walking from one business to the other. So there is no unemployment in Mississippi unless you want it to be. And so what we have to do is get our people trained up in order to have a labor force that can meet the demands of these companies. Now, some of them are more mundane, very difficult. They're jobs that are dirty. You get your hands, like the new steel mill in Columbus was a huge thing. That's pretty hard work out there. Others are more like the AI that's out here in Madison, where, you know, you're more of an intellectual or keeping up with the computer and making sure everything's running, that kind of thing is more of an intellectual side. But we've got both sides here in Mississippi, so we've got plenty of opportunities. This year, again, I started this a couple of years ago, and we got swept up in high school money last year. We put $217 million in high schools under the new formula. But this year, I want to do where you can go to community college, last dollar free. I think our people, that extra year now in the competitive world we're in the world, our competitive world, we need to have kids be able to go to the community college and get that certificate or that last 2 years or maybe even a universal degree. So we'll be pushing that this year until
this is from the last year, the second year?
First and second year. I want them to go free.
How does that work with the workforce development when you start looking at coming out of high school if they want to go directly into the workforce?
They can go directly into the workforce if they're qualified out of high school, because we have a lot of these tech training, like at Clinton. They added on Clinton High School. They added on a whole wing over there that has a whole bunch of different alternatives from food preparation to mechanics. In Pascagoula, they have 21 at the high school, different tech classes that you can take while you're in high school. The community college system picks up from those tech schools, like they have up in this Columbus-Starkville area, and brings them up to the certificate level. Now, you can do that while you're working, or you can do that right out of high school. Either one is fine, of course. And some companies will pay you.
But you can't do this while you're working, though.
You can. Yeah, you can. You can go. There's night schools. There's all kinds of different ways to get to here. Our community colleges are very open. And Paul, 95% of the kids that go to community college stay in Mississippi. Now that's really important, because I'm training people that'll stay here. Now, some of our universities have gotten really great national and international reputation, so people drift away from up there after they get out of Starkville or something. So I want people that are going to be trained that are going to stay here. Our next biggest issue will not be that we have a warm, welcoming personal. We have our tax benefits right, that we don't have a site ready, that it's not freezing cold and snowing here, that we have water. We have water on three sides of Mississippi, Paul. So we got all of these things set. The tax benefits are set. Everything is set. The legislature's good. Our judiciary is conservative. The whole thing is all set for us to go forward, and that took a lot of years by a lot of people.
So where does the personal income tax fit into this, in your mind?
Well, we're the sixth lowest income tax state. When I talked to the guys at AI, they didn't ever bring up income tax. 4% didn't make any difference to them. Quite frankly, I think we're sixth. There's 9 states that don't charge any taxes, and out of the other 40, whatever, we're the sixth lowest. So I don't know that that's a barrier at all, quite frankly, to anybody. Most of these people are coming from states that have some type of tax.
So you're saying basically, if that, and we know it's going to come up again in the 2025 legislative session, it's not going to be something that's highlighted by the Senate?
No, we're cutting the tax. Let's see, we're taking $42 million a year out of the franchise tax. We'll take about, say, 3%. I forget, about $500 million out of the income tax out of the next 2 years. So if you add those up, it's about $750 million. And the ones that went before this, we're cutting taxes somewhere a little short of $1 billion.
Were you okay with where we ended the fiscal year, and we're just in the first month? And I'm sure we don't even have any numbers now. This is the 24th as far as the first month of the year. But your comments as far as how we ended fiscally the last year?
Well, it was outstanding. And the reason is we're continuing to cut taxes, and we're continuing, on all the business level, other level. And quite frankly, Paul, I want to cut the grocery tax. That's the top. That's the next one. I've already cut personal income taxes. Say I have the legislature has already cut income taxes. We've cut business taxes. Now we need to get to the grocery tax.
I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Because
you're hungry or what?
No, well, that's another subject, but I don't think you can help me with that one. I don't understand. To me, it's simple, and it's just when you're not in the legislature, some of these things, the process is kind of hard to unfold some. But on the grocery tax, we charge 7% on grocery tax. Am I right?
Yeah, it's too high.
Some of that goes to the state. Some of it goes to the municipalities.
That's
municipalities have to have it. They have to have it or find a way to keep it.
That's right.
So I made a suggestion, and it's not only me. Other people says, well, why don't you do this? If you want to cut it, just take the part that the state has and cut it that amount, and whatever the municipalities are getting, let them go on and have it.
That's exactly what we intend to do.
Is that a ridiculous idea?
No, sir. It's exactly what I intend to do.
Why is this so difficult then? Is it difficult because of the computerization or the paperwork on this one? Or?
Well, some of it is just the idea of, we're going to eliminate the income tax. You know, so everybody was focused on that. Well, we did reduce the income tax. We did away with the whole rate, and we reduced it another point. And I see these other states like Iowa are getting we're really excited. We're going to cut our rate to 5%. Well, we're going to 4%. So I think what happened, the grocery tax just wasn't the highlight one. But now with inflation, it's about 20-something% on grocery goods. So now that has overcome where we need to address that part next, I think.
What would it cost the state to drop our share or the state's share of the grocery tax?
$62 million a point.
A point, but is that the final figure or the net figure on that?
Yes, sir. That would be the net figure.
But $62 million a year?
$62 million, because we'd have to make the cities whole. You're exactly right about that. The cities and counties got to have that money, because some of them, that's the only.
Final segment with the Lieutenant Governor. This Liebert Group, one of the largest manufacturers of construction equipment in the world, they're going to build a 1 million square foot distribution manufacturing operation, Lee County, and kudos to another one of the guys out there, just incredible, CEO David Rombarger, working with the team too. So,
yeah, he's really,
your final thoughts, sir?
Well, Lex Taylor and Taylor Machinery has entered into an agreement with the Belgians. They're manufacturing overseas, and they built a Belgian manufacturing plant in Columbus just this year. So you're seeing that we're in a worldwide economy, Paul, and we're competing in a worldwide economy, and we're very successul. So,
man, I hate to interrupt you on this one, but ask you, because I know I was talking with it was a couple of different people, but certainly with Andy Gibson on this one, and our concern about the legislation that people want to push as far as barring foreign companies from owning land or leasing land.
Yeah.
And you almost have to walk through that carefully, don't you?
We did, and we passed that last year.
Yes.
I'm real proud of our guys. And we did the common sense thing. I'm not so sure where the commissioner was going off. I saw some stuff he had written, but he was talking about eliminating all ownership. Well, you know, everybody that works at Nissan, Toyota, Packer, the AI, all of these companies are worldwide companies, so you can't just exclude the industrial base, Paul. That would not be. I
think the word adversarial companies our countries kind of takes care of a large.
Yeah, we got we eliminated communist China and Iran from owning land, forestry land and agricultural land in Mississippi, and I passed it this year. We passed it this year, so we did a really good job with that, and we worked with Farm Bureau, we worked with the national level. All of those things all of our stuff was touched, and they thought it was right, and our bill was well done, not to exclude the industrial complex where we have these smaller few acres that they're building these giant PACCAR plants on, or all different kinds of plants. Toyota, Nissan, they all employ our people. So we didn't want to shoot ourselves in the foot. So our bill was approved both locally and nationally, and it was well drafted, and I'm real proud of it. But it excludes the communists and Chinese and others from owning Mississippi farmland, and I think that's good.
Behind the scenes, what else is going on during the summer?
A couple of things that I will tell you that I'm working on. One, I've been reading this book, Anxious Generation. I see now it's a number 2 bestseller on the New York Times list. But it gets into, Paul, how these iPhones affect young people. And I want to ban them from schools. Now, I'm just telling you, I think every school district, and by the way, Marshall County is leading the nation on this, leading the state anyway on this. They make these kids put their iPhones in a pouch when they come in. Now, the numbers show, Paul, that our girls are 145% more likely to have a major depression. This has just come about in these last 10 years with these phones. And our boys are 161% more likely to have major depression than they were just in 2010 and 12 range. And it's coming out of that cell phone. And I want, when our kids are sitting their seat in that seat, I want them to be getting an education and not getting a text. And so if you read that book, it would be very concerning to you as to what is actually happening to our young girls and who may not get invited to the Wendy's or something. we just had to pass a bill where a young man committed suicide, Paul.
Yep.
Welcome.
Governor, I don't disagree with you at all. As a matter of fact, I think, and you've hit on something that is, first of all, it's going to teach them in school that they can do without the cell phone for more than 15 or 20 minutes. Yeah. You want a perfect example of this one? Go to YouTube where they have these police videos. You'll see somebody, a young lady, or a young man for that mostly, but I was watching one last night. A young lady was arrested. She committed a violation after she fought with police, bit police, everything else. First violation. She went catatonic on this one. She would probably see maybe 5 or 10 years in prison for what she did after her shoplifting and some other things. And it was her first offense. She didn't care about anything. Her number one thing is when they took that cell phone away from her, it was almost like taking one of her lungs.
Yeah, I just... This has got
the detachment anxiety.
The pervasive part of this, and what's happened, Paul, instead of us having social discourse like you have every morning on here, these kids TikTok or whatever they're doing, and they're just looking at green dots on a screen. There is not the give and take where somebody says, well, that's not a good idea. You ought not bankrupt the country, or we are all that. Having that discourse is really important. That human interaction is really important, and our kids are not getting that like you used to. Like your mom and dad said, go play in the street or something, and you got whatever, you got fights, or you found out who hit the ball further.
Yeah, you know what they're saying about us right now out there. Two old grandfathers talking. We have no earthly idea what we're talking about, but we do.
I've got statistics to back me up, and you need to put that phone down and start learning, because I want you to work one day here in Mississippi.
The lanyard from that, though, and please don't overshadow this one, is the fact that they learn on a daily basis that they can do without that cell phone.
Yeah, it's a self-worth. Look at the numbers
about
depression.
Not in the middle. Somebody texts somebody else, I see you doing this, you're a goon.
Right.
Screws up their entire day with bullying.
No, and that's what happened to...
No, I
had to pass a bill.
Go forth, Grandpa. Go forth.
Well, I got 8 grandchildren. I guess you're right.
Yeah, there we go. We're qualified.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it very much.
So good to
Don't
hear
be
from
a
you,
stranger.
Paul. Call in.